Hello and welcome to The Standpoint. Hope you've had a good week. And today we are going to touch on something that is quite emotional, quite sensitive. But there are lots of women out there, lots of people out there who are just dying to hear something that will help them put themselves together, pick themselves up, and keep moving on, though they are, quote unquote, not complete at the moment. We are going to talk about widowhood, dealing with widowhood. Before I introduce my guest, we take a short break. We'll be back. Welcome back to The Standpoint. If you just joined us, we are going to talk about dealing with widowhood. And seated right opposite me is Madam Grace Nyamasem, who is a caterer, a mother, and a widow. Hello and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, seated next to Madam Grace is our own Reverend Ben Ahiaji, who is a counselor. In fact, we'll call him Standpoint Counselor. Welcome. And then next to Reverend is Amma van der Pooy, who is an independent distributor of Forever Living products. And she's a mother and also a widow.
Thank you, Gifty.
You're welcome. How long have you been a widow, Amma?
A little over 1.5 years.
Wow, quite fresh.
Yes, quite.
Oh, okay. And thank you for coming. It's a bold step you've
Thank
taken.
you for having me.
And I know
here.
a lot of women are going to be blessed by you coming to share.
I pray so.
Okay. Madam Grace, what about you?
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years?
Yes.
Yeah. 4 years. Does it get any easier with time?
It doesn't. Because some of our husbands, due to the love from the beginning, they will convince you, oh, we need children, so your job may be to disturb you for having children. So if you can withdraw from your work and be a housewife, there will be a lot of convince through from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's up to you, the woman, to decide whether you draw back to have the children or go ahead and do your work, or you are still having children.
Yeah. Reverend, I'll come back to you.
Yeah.
You know, Reverend, you have, I believe you've counseled a lot of women in this position, right? Do they get better with time, dealing with the pain and everything?
Well, I believe that if they have had the benefit of the necessary support systems within the family, within the society, and if they themselves allow themselves to go through the proper healing process, they are able to deal with the loss. Let's not forget that dealing with loss is not an easy thing, especially in a loving relationship like a marriage. If you were very close, if you really loved one another, and then again, it depends on how long you were together. Imagine people who were together, let's say 10, 15 years, spending their lives together. That's a lot of years of lives spent together. And then all of a sudden, you wake up and he's no more beside you. All of a sudden, he's no more there to share jokes, to laugh together, and so on. Some say that, well, if the marriage hasn't been that long, it's easier to cope with. I think that
it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. What matters is the quality of the relationship that the two of them enjoyed. Where they enjoy a very strong, meaningful, healthy relationship, then the loss is harder to deal with. And so the widows have to go through a process. But I think that to help them deal with it is their state of mind and then the support systems around them, you know, that makes it easy to be able to handle and deal with it.
How long were you married?
26.5 years.
26.5 years. Yes. Wow. So how was it like for you? Getting up one day and then he's gone.
I don't know. How do you say it? You are confused, you are shocked, you are grieved, you are angry. It's a whole mixture of emotions. You can't even tell how you feel from one moment to the next. Sometimes you are really scared. But what I found was that when I turned to God, it always made it easier. And also there were lots of people around me who really, really supported me emotionally and all, including professional counseling to help me.
Okay. And Grace, how long were you married for?
17 and a half years.
17 and a half years.
Yes.
In the beginning, when it happened, how was that?
He got ill for about 1.5 years before he passed away.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so I had a shock because that moment you can feel the emotion there that you've lost something.
Yeah.
But as Pastor has already said, it's all about the family or the people around you that will make your emotion good or bad. So it wasn't easy on my side. It wasn't easy. But for about 6 months later, I started coping with all that was going around me because there were still people around me emotionally counseling and my pastors, all those things. So it's not easy, but the starting is not easy. But when you stand firm to a time, you can be able to make it.
Right. We'll talk about how you've been able to, because sometimes, even though there's counseling and all that, it has to take a personal effort to get there. But what about the children? Dealing with the children, you know, and telling them that your daddy is no more, and
especially the two young ones didn't take it. No, daddy is not dead. Because he didn't die in Accra here. He died in his village.
Okay.
So they were all along challenging me, Mommy, until I've seen Daddy lying instead. I won't agree that Daddy is dead. Daddy is not dead. So in fact, I have to exercise patience for them, talking to them, always lying to them that, okay, we'll go tomorrow next, and until we went and before they believe it. So after that, they know that it's totally gone.
I think that two important phases that people go through have been brought out here. One is denial, which the children went through. It hasn't happened. I don't believe it. I think that depending on who the bearer of the news is, I don't think it's true. I need to see it for myself. Now, the other aspect is the shock, which you also touched on, and which is very important because some people have never been able to recover from the shock. And so you find that they never find themselves again for the rest of their lives that they live. And this is where it's very important. You know, our society generally used to be a close one. We have the extended family system. You have your mother, aunties, and all of that coming around. And this used to provide support generally, you know, throughout. But then with urbanization, people moving out, we're seeking to become smaller families, just parents and children, father, wife, and all of that. It's becoming a challenge. But fortunately, we haven't counselors, professional counselors, psychologists, and all of that coming up as well. And so that somehow fills in the gap. I think that is the important thing that needs to be dealt with. The people who have lost their loved one especially need to be helped to go through this period of shock, so that once they have gone through, they can recover very well and then move on with their lives. Deal with the loss. Dealing with loss. I mean, just imagine if you've lost something very precious, like a gold bracelet, and somebody breaks into your home and takes it away and you find out. Even that. See, sometimes we are unable to deal with it, and we either keep cursing or we keep thinking, and whoever took this and who did that.
Or even if somebody burns your favorite dress.
Right, you know. So it's that kind of feeling, but this is a more intense feeling because this is somebody, as scripture says, you were one, sexually, intimately, in every way, you know, especially like I said from the beginning, if the quality of the relationship was good, then you find out that it's like a chunk of you has been torn out and taken away. And that's what needs to be dealt with so that you can find your wholeness again, you know, to move on with your life. If you have children, to bring them up so that they can also appreciate that, yes, we may have had a loss, but then this is in line with God's purposes. Because we know birth is certain. We know marriage will come. We know death is also a certainty. It's only the time we don't know, but we do know that it's a certainty. And we have to be able to deal with these things and accept them when they do come.
What about you? Did you have to tell the children yourself?
Well, I did not. This thing was so sudden. It was like
wasn't
I'd been
sick?
hit. No, it was like I'd been hit by a tidal wave. He left home in the morning. I opened the gate for him, and he left for work. And he was rather quiet, and because he was going to court, normally when he's going to court, he doesn't like you to be talking to him because he just keeps concentrate. So I thought he's quiet, but I think it's because he's going to court. So I'll just leave him. And in the evening, I was calling him to find out what he would want for supper, and he didn't pick. And I said, oh, he must be having a meeting, because normally when he's having a meeting, he won't want to pick up. But then when he sees a missed call from me or the children, then he'll call back. So a call came back, and I said, that must be him. But when I picked, I was told, come to Trust Hospital, wait and speak to the doctor. And the doctor said, what drugs does your husband take? That was when my knees became like jelly. Because why is he asking me? Why isn't he asking him? You know, and I got so confused. So confused to the extent that they asked me his age, and I didn't know. That was how it was. And I finally managed to get to the hospital, and he wasn't in a good state. So he was transferred to Kolebu, and I was with him together with my son. I have an older son, the firstborn. And the two of us, friends came. I mean, there was a lot of support. His siblings were there. And then my son and I stayed with him overnight. So early in the morning, I was going home to just freshen up and come back. And before I got there, he passed. So it was my son who met me and grabbed me so I won't. He said, please keep yourself together, try, you know. And he held